Hi, I would like to talk about a text from the topic City Life, called The Mother of the City. This short story is written by Christopher Fowler, who is an English writer living in London. He writes both novels and short stories, and he is known for his black comedy and social satire. Furthermore, he has a tendency to make references to life in the city, and even include it in the title sometimes. And this short story is no exception. Uh, the short story, Mother of the City, is about 28-year-old Douglas, who does not like the city and he does not fit in either, which he makes very clear from the beginning when he, on page 51, line 15, says, "Fucking London, I hate it." Um, but he really wants to impress a woman named Michelle, who lives and breathes for the city, which cause a lot of problems for their relationship and the chances of it to work. Because if you mess with the city, you mess with her, which I'll get back to later. Um, and you can't love the mother and hate the child at the same time, which is one of the main points. It will get more understandable later. Um, but even though this observation is obvious, it might not be when it makes you choose between a girl you're in love with or really like, and the foundation of your beliefs. Um, the narrator is Douglas. He's a first person narrator of the story and tells the story from his point of view. He lives in a London suburb, even though all of his friends have already moved to London, and now he is scared that it might be too late for him to move as well. Douglas' attitude implies double standards about this because he says that he hates London, and almost everything about it, including all this its crowded streets and the unfriendly people who live there. But yet he is in love with a girl who is all about the city and everything it contains, um, which is sort of the opposite of hating London. Um, he says in on page 52, line 16, that where you live shapes your life. Um, and this describes his way of living very well, until he meets Michelle, who illustrates all the prejudice Douglas had about the people living in the city, um, before he meets Michelle. Michelle is a 21-year-old girl, and therefore 7 years younger than Douglas. Michelle is born and raised in the city, and she is the complete opposite of Douglas in many ways. She loves the city more than anything, and she can't say anything negative about it, which Douglas realizes after one of their fights, when they're going out together with some of Michelle's friends. And one of Michelle's friends tell him, that she loves the city and she won't hear anyone criticizing it. It says on page 56, line 31. Um, Furthermore, she has a lot of friends who are very overprotective of her. Nothing should ever happen to their so-called queen, whom they follow everywhere. This is another contrast between Michelle and Douglas, who isn't quite as social as Michelle. Um, but of course, there must be some similarities to keep them together, and there is. They really like each other, in the beginning at least, maybe even love, and that is almost the only thing that keeps them together, because when their differences become too much for one another, they give up several times actually. Um, and one of the reasons this, could be that Michelle also implies double standards, because at one point she wants an honest man. Says on page 55, line 13, that she told me she was attracted to me because I was clearly an honest man. But still, she can't handle he tells her the truth about how he feels about the city. It says on page 56, line 19, she just stared at me blankly for a moment and turned to talk to someone else, which says that she ignores him after criticizing the city. So she fell for him because of his honesty, but when he tells her the truth and criticizes her child, the city, she can't handle it. Which makes sense if you see her as the mother of the city, because a mother won't hear people talk bad about their children, and Michelle won't either. Um, the main problem between Michelle and Douglas is their relation to the city, which is complete opposites, and therefore it is the reason for every fight they are having. The fights mostly appear because of Michelle's childish way of handling criticism and her inability to look at things from other people's perspective. Um, I think Michelle sees herself as the mother of the city, but I wonder if she really is. Um, because Michelle could be something more. She sees herself as the mother of the city, a mother who has to take care of it and protect it from every negative thing people could say about it. But I wonder if she could be more than that. Because one thing is to protect the city from bad things, but in this case, people get hurt if they tell her the truth, or tell her something she don't want to hear about her beloved city. Her last boyfriend told her the truth, and in line or page 56, line 37, we hear what happened to him. It says he got knocked off his bike by a bus, which is very dramatic. And after Michelle and Douglas' final breakup, he gets hurt too. Uh, on page 61, line 36, it says, I remember being thrown into the alley and hitting the ground hard. And the fact that everything went wrong may be a way for the city to tell him that he isn't welcome, but 2 times, 2 boyfriends telling her the truth and then this happens to them is a little odd. Michelle is referred to as the mother of the city, and so it seems like Michelle is the city, because in some way she is the one trying to punish Douglas and split them up so they won't be together. And she might be doing that because she isn't willing to accept what he has to say about the city. This leads to the question if Michelle is just the mother of the city or if she is the city herself. Because it is a little much or a little over the top to protect the city in this way and hurt the people who tells their opinion about the city just because she isn't able to handle the criticism. But is more than one theme in this postmodern short story. One of them is, of course, life in the city, or more correctly, the view on the city life. Douglas and Michelle share very different views on the city, as mentioned before. They do not agree on anything about the city, maybe because Douglas is a bit judgmental or negative. But Michelle is also responsible for some of the problems they experience because of her naivety and stubbornness. She isn't willing to accept any criticism or point of view that she can't agree on. Therefore, they are both responsible for the final breakup because Douglas does not even try to like the city, and Michelle is not willing to listen to what Douglas has to say. Any of his opinions and points of view doesn't matter to her if it criticizes her beloved city. This leads to the next theme of the story, love. It is questionable if what Douglas and Michelle had really was true love or just a crush, and maybe a wish for something more. Maybe they both wish that it could be more, but none of them are willing to let go of their opinion and just accept one another completely. So the conflict is what makes them break up at last. The conflict about view on the city. Some say that true love can survive anything and therefore it will last forever. In this case, this would be false love because Michelle and Douglas' love can't last and can't survive this conflict. None of them are willing to give up their point of view, and none of them are willing to just loosen up a little to let the other one in and give them space to have their own opinion. Which makes the final point that if it were love, it would have lasted. So main point is that the mother of the city cares more about her child than she cares about finding or having a man in her life that she could love if she just let go, or even just let go a little bit. But that leads back to my question from before, that maybe she isn't just the mother of the city, maybe she is the child herself, which would explain her childish behavior too. She isn't willing to hear any opinion. She's stubborn and only wants her own opinion about the city. Douglas would never have a chance in their relationship because the city means so much to her. She means too much to her. Maybe that's far out, but I think in some way it makes sense. That was my analysis of the text Mother of the City. Uh, Thank you for listening.